Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, I'm going to talk about little ways to connect with your partner every day and give you some examples, because a lot of people grew up in cold and disconnected or chaotic and volatile home environments, and they don't really know how to do this. Frequently, they do stuff for their kids, but then they don't do stuff for their partner. And it seems cheesy, and honestly, the only way to change your behavior is to change your behavior. You know, if you just crowbar in some things that seem cheesy and corny, then practice will, make perfect there. Won't make perfect, but, practice makes everything better. And eventually, you will just start doing these cute little things, and you won't feel embarrassed or corny or exposed or vulnerable or stupid or whatever the case may be. And before I get into that, please do subscribe. My most recent subscriber episode was all about perimenopause, which is a woman's 40s, and how her perspective, her philosophy, her biology, everything, there's a confluence there, and she just changes a lot. And this is explaining either how you are to your husband or how your wife is to you, depending on who's listening. And of course, there's over 170 other awesome subscriber episodes, all for $8.99 a month. And it's really quite a bit of good content. People are always saying to me that I don't have a lot of filler, and that is true because I can't take small talk myself, so I don't think I should subject you to it. Obviously, with the exception of the 30 seconds that I tell you to subscribe to my stuff. Okay, so what are some little ways to connect with your partner every day? Let's start with an entire genre of stuff called gifts. And a lot of people struggle with this a lot. They think that a gift has to be something big or expensive or just some mind-blowing kind of thing. And I do have an ultimate gift guide for those sorts of occasions that you could find on my site. But gifts don't have to be big. Gifts could be very little. Gifts could be getting her something from the gas station, like the chips that she likes or the gum that she likes. It could be going to Starbucks and getting her favorite drink. It could be the same things for a guy, right? So it's not only men that struggle with gifts. It's women too. It's basically avoidant people and also non-highly sensitive people. So if you're both avoidant attachment and not highly sensitive, then you're probably with somebody who's at least preoccupied attachment, and that person's always saying that you don't do cute little things for them. And maybe they're right. Maybe you're just not good with that. And it makes you feel weird and vulnerable. And it's almost like thirsty, as the kids say, like desperate. Like if you went into the gas station and they knew you were thinking about them, then almost, you're one down in that situation. And you may not even be aware of thinking like that, but in fact, it may be there, And also, a lot of that stuff wasn't done for you when you were a kid. So you really have no kind of ear or feel for it, But getting these little gifts, getting something small off of Amazon. If you don't know what to get your partner, look at the stuff that they have and get them a different thing. So if your husband has a certain water bottle that he takes to the gym, well, get him a different one. Literally, get him the same brand water bottle, but the new one, you know, and that would be thought of as really sweet, and it would be like $20, you know. And if you struggle super hard with knowing when to do this or when is appropriate or what, first of all, you're never going to do it too much if you err on the side of not knowing when to do it at all, but do it like once a month. That's a good one. You know, once a month, buy your partner a little something, or every couple weeks, you know. It's really like, do you have to do it every day? Certainly not. Probably nobody does it every day. But a lot of people do it once a week, you know, without even thinking about it. They just grab somebody something at the grocery store or whatever. But if you want to go to like every other week or even every month to start, cool. So that's like a whole genre of things that you could execute on today. The person feels known. They feel like you know what they want. They feel loved. They feel understood. It's kind of a cute thing. Next thing is any sort of physical affection. So this is not sex. I talk constantly about how important sex is in marriage. This is not that conversation. This conversation is other physical touch. So foot rubs and head scratching and hugs and kisses and cuddles, those sorts of things really make you feel connected every day. If you say that you're not a touchy kind of person, but you still like sex, guess what? You're not always going to like sex. You know, you're just not. Life changes. You get old. And if you don't have any sort of other thing to do, well, guess what? You're not going to be touching each other at all when you stop having sex. And this happens to so many of my clients. They were in their 20s or 30s. They still liked having sex. Everything was fine. Then the woman stopped wanting to have sex, or sometimes the man did. You know, he went on some different medication, or he got, medical issues happen, and they just never had this cuddling kind of dynamic. So they basically stopped touching forever, you know, and you don't want that to be you. So if you get into the zone of touching your partner every day for non-sexual physical touch, then that is a nice way to connect intimately with them. You know, just every day. What's another one? Compliments. Compliments are big, even if you don't have a words of affirmation love language. You can say something nice. I say if your wife gets dressed up for work, you say something. If she gets dressed up for anything, you say something. If your husband gets dressed up in a way that he doesn't usually, or if you just like the color of his shirt, or if you think he looks cute, or if you like his haircut. People that cultivate this sort of culture of saying nice things have children, by the way, that also say nice things to each other and to friends and within the family and back to the parents. And it's kind of a nice vibe where you have a family where you can be like, oh, you look nice today. Like, I like your shirt, you know, versus a family where nobody ever mentions anything or possibly only mentions something to criticize it. And if you are in that kind of a home, then it could feel like really different and healing, what we call a corrective emotional experience, to be in the other kind of home. You know, the kind of home where those things are done, where people compliment each other. And this all comes down from the top when the parents are complimenting each other. And, you know, by the way, a lot of parents compliment their kids and they don't ever compliment each other. So all the kids learn from that is kids are cute, you know, and they don't learn how to say anything to a peer. And they certainly don't learn how to say anything nice within an intimate relationship later on. You know, they assume that kids are cute and grown-ups are just, you know, there. And that is not necessarily something that's going to make them good in relationships later on. You know, if they have no idea how to talk to somebody in a positive, affirming sort of a way. And now, don't only compliment looks, right? So some big ones are like, think about what does your partner think is most important about them? Like, what is the thing that they're most proud of? Is it their parenting? Is it how hard they work? Is it, you know, something that they're really skilled at, like cooking or, you know, fixing something? Whatever the thing is, if you think about what does your partner think is their worth based on, you know, like what do they think of as like a key factor that makes them have self-esteem? Well, try to find things in that genre, you know, that you are complimenting, because otherwise you're not really... Like if you keep complimenting your wife saying she has a nice ass and she's somebody who mostly prides herself on being a good mom, well, she does not feel very known by you at all. She doesn't feel known. She doesn't feel loved. And a lot of guys are like, but I would want her to say I have a nice ass. Well, okay. Like what you want is something that's important to you. More of a sexual flirtation vibe. And what she wants is for you to recognize the thing that she finds important too. So, it's the same thing. It's just not exactly the same thing, but it is the same. It's analogous, right? It would be the same on the SAT. A compliment about your ass is the same as a compliment about her mothering. And so when you see that, then you can develop empathy and you can give those sorts of compliments more readily. All right. What are other things? Planning time together. Even little bits of time. Even saying you want to go get a cup of coffee together. Do you finish early on Friday? Let's go get a cup of coffee together. That's really meaningful. Those are little ways to connect. Doing chores together instead of doing chores separately. If your wife is cleaning out the garage, don't say, okay, well, I'm going to go mow the lawn. Go clean out the garage. It'll go probably more than twice as fast, and so people who are more avoidant, they're really into efficiency. That's what they keep always talking about. Like as though efficiency is the be all end all. Somebody's going to ask on your deathbed, how efficient were you? No. What people think about on their deathbed is like their relationships with the people that were meaningful to them and remembering time spent together. And so it may be efficient to get chores done separately, but it's also lonely to spend your whole weekend separate. And especially if you have young kids that aren't exactly companions, So if she's going to take the kids, they're cute and all, they're not exactly giving intellectual conversation there. So if she's taking the kids to like their little class or whatever they do on Saturdays or the play date and you're staying home to do projects around the house, well, guess what? Y'all aren't together, you miss each other, and you completely lose a time to connect with each other. So if you've been carefully listening, then you know that I've covered all the love languages, right? Or most of them, I think. What did I do? Quality time, I did gifts, I did words of affirmation, I did physical touch, and acts of service is kind of like that last one as well. So chores. If you do chores together, it turns into quality time. The other way to do acts of service, by the way, is to literally do the acts of service that the person wants you to do instead of complaining. And so if she wants you to clean out the kitchen, to clean off the counters or whatever, and you do that, she will feel more connected. That is a way to connect intimately with a person with an acts of service love language. It really is. And if you don't have an acts of service love language, which most men do not, then you don't understand it. But guys have an acts of service love language too sometimes, not frequently. It's the least common one that I see. But especially if they grew up being taken care of by their mother in a very practical way, then they've developed this love language. So making your husband cookies or, helping him with a chore, taking it off of his plate. Or, dinner, making breakfast, packing up the car, doing all these different things that make his life easier. So hopefully you could see from this that there are a million ways to connect. You just have to get in the zone of wanting to do these things and thinking that you should be doing them. They don't make you, they could make you embarrassed at first, to try to transform your marriage in this way. But overall, you're trying to show your kids a loving marriage. You're trying to have a happier, more connected unit. And so that stuff reaps dividends. In the bedroom, outside of the bedroom, just in terms of how your partner feels about you, And there's avoidant women too, obviously, as I have a whole podcast on avoidant wives. And if you're an avoidant woman, it's less frequent and, than being a preoccupied attachment woman or a securely attached woman. But still, there's plenty of avoidantly attached women and they struggle with doing these little connection moments as well. So just think, if I would do it for my kid, if I would leave a cute little note for my kid, why wouldn't I leave a cute little note for my husband? Because I'm embarrassed, because I think adults don't do that. But what if I did do that? Could I have, kind of a nicer, closer environment? Could I show my kids a different kind of a marriage? And if the answer is that you do want to show your kids a loving and connected and warm marriage, which most people do, then try to put yourself out of your comfort zone and try some of these little things that I've said. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to y'all soon. Please do subscribe, buy my book, and as always, if you need a therapist or a coach, reach out to me or anybody at my practice, Best Life Behavioral Health. If you email, I match you with somebody based on what you say your needs are, where you're located, all of that. All right, talk to y'all soon. Bye, guys.